as a placement therapist, I guess, as a student, you're going to get a fitness to practice letter at some stage. But what is fitness to practice, and why are those barriers there, I guess, Rory?
I think if we look at this initially through the student's experience, Ken, fitness to practice is a unspoken confidence that training providers and placement providers have. So what we have to remember is when you as a student turns up for your placement interview, they really only have the interview and how you present as evidence of whether they would like you to join their counselling team as a student. So what usually happens is that the tutor sends what's called a fitness to practice letter. And a fitness to practice letter is sometimes referred to as a letter of comfort. In other words, that letter carries with it the professional view of the student that they are at a place where they're ready to engage in client work at student level. And that letter is gained through observation and reflection of the students by the tutor. So it's not unusual when teaching, Ken, for us to have fitness to practice weeks where we would ask a student to do a mock counselling skills session, and we would take a view on whether they were in a position to confidently be able to engage in client work. Their skills were at a level and their understanding of theory and then personally, their own personal development was at a level that allowed them to engage. And the thing with the fitness to practice letter, it is a living document. So that fitness to practice letter, they can be withdrawn in exceptional circumstances, Ken.
Yes, and they do get withdrawn, and they also get refused, and for very good reason. So I think you've beautifully outlined what it is, Rory. What is a fitness to practice? Fitness to practice is not that you know all the theory and that you can ace all the assignments. And you may find a student that gets refused their fitness to practice letter, even though they're getting straight A's on their assignment. It's nothing to do with that. That's part of it. You do need to understand the theory. But the tutor is somebody that a student will spend quite a lot of time with. And within that time, your character is going to show who you are, how you show up from a personal development point of view. Your skills are going to be observed, as well as your understanding of the theory. And only when that tutor is 100% confident that when you go out into practice, you're at the very least not going to cause harm in the room when the door is closed and you're there with that client. That's where it all takes place, Rory. And personal development is a part of that. Skills is a part of that. So what are some of the reasons that a fitness to practice may be rejected or delayed? And I'm going to say delayed here. And how should a student feel? And I say this because we have a Facebook group and it's got over 50,000 people in. There's loads of discussion, and this comes up from time to time. I didn't get my fitness to practice letter. I feel absolutely devastated. What's your thoughts and feedback for those people?
Yes, well, as a tutor, it's never easy to say to a student, I think what we need to do is see you again in a month, which is what we used to say. And we used to give very positive feedback, developmental feedback, not that kind of sandwich feedback where you start off with something that's good, then you talk about what wasn't good, and then you talk about what is good so they don't feel as bad. I don't feel that's useful. It's usually called a poo sandwich. Am I allowed to say poo sandwich? Poo sandwich. I'll be polite. Poo sandwich feedback. Developmental feedback is where you say, look, this was good. What you need to do is develop this area. And it's about development. I think that when we issued Fitness to Practice, we would give people a developmental feedback. And sometimes we'd do that in writing. And we would say, okay, come and see us again in a month. And it can be devastating. It can be upsetting when someone comes back and they say to their peers, how did it go? I've got to see them again in a month. And I think it's how it's framed. We used to say that we're doing a fitness to practice observation. Not everybody may pass the first time. That is quite normal. It's nothing to worry about, and people will be reassessed. And I think in all the time we taught, Ken, I think I only withdrew a fitness to practice, or someone didn't make it in one occasion, and most everybody actually passes. And sometimes it's nerves. It's the big event. It's the driving test, if you like, of counselling training. You're in front
Yeah.
of your examiner, and some people just buckle under the pressure. And I think say to them, okay, I can see you struggled a bit there. Don't worry about it. Just continue with your skills. And then they would come back, and usually they'd come back and it would be completely different. And it's really important to realise that it's the professional view of the tutor. The placement's reputation relies on an external view. That's the thing. If you're running a placement and you get someone who is just unsuitable to be a counsellor, that impacts on the placement.
Yeah.
So this fitness to practice is, as I say, it's a letter of comfort. It means that someone looks at that and thinks, I've interviewed the person, and also we've got this letter, and the two things match up, so we'll offer them a placement. But what I would say is, if you've just recently not passed your fitness to practice, or you're going to go and do it, just don't overthink it. If you don't pass, you get another go. You're in a supportive environment.
I think if you look at it in terms of a driver's license, how many people don't get a driver's license that first time? It doesn't mean you're not a good counsellor. If you don't get it that first time, it just means there's some areas that you should be looking at tweaking. And there is an accountability. There's many layers of accountability in counselling and psychotherapy here in the United Kingdom. And one of those levels of accountability is the tutor. If something does go terribly wrong within practice and somebody signed off a fitness to practice letter, they may be looking to the tutor, but it's it's a rite of passage, Rory, getting that fitness to practice.
I would say, and I know what we used to do, Ken. We used to have a presentation of fitness to practice letters.
Yeah.
So when people passed, we'd have a letter printed out. It was a rite of passage and the beginning of professional formation, the line in the sand where a student could say, I'm now at the point of being able to engage in the work. And I think that symbolically those letters build confidence. Once someone's got a fitness to practice letter, their shoulders are a bit straighter, their backs are a bit straighter, usually have a beaming smile on the face. They feel more confident. And I think that's a great thing. So it can be devastating when you don't pass. We do commiserate with people have to go through. It's nerve-wracking.
Yep.
It's nerve-wracking. You're under a lot of pressure because your tutors are there, even though they're there in a very supportive way. And also what I would say is, if you are doing a fitness to practice and you get to choose your peer carefully, find somebody who, is going to engage with you. Good luck.
Yes.
If you are doing it, just go for it. Be the best you can be and enjoy the experience.
Yes. And it's more than just an observed skill session to make sure you can use the skills. It is a holistic overview of you by your tutor, your understanding of theory, your understanding of the ethics and how to work within the boundaries, the way that you apply your specific modality. It is a holistic overview that kind of has a little bit of a driving test element to it, which is usually an observed skill session. And those things remain true no matter how long you're in practice. And Rory, you mentioned the fitness to practice letter can be pulled. And it can be. So if there's a complaint from the supervisor or from the placement, or the student comes and shares something in professional discussion where concern is raised, it can be pulled. And I think this reflects what it's like to be a qualified counsellor, because your supervisor at any stage can say, you know what, I think you need to step out of practice right now for a time. What a great topic, Rory.
It is a great topic, and I think it just brings really reassurance into the checks and balances that are built in to practitioner training. And yes, you are correct. I think in one case, I contacted the student and said, look, you're going through a difficult time. You need to stand back. It wasn't received very well, I have to say, but people going through a difficult time often don't receive very well in cases like this. And I said, we're going to have to withdraw your fitness to practice. And I had a long conversation with the practice manager at the agency and explained in broad brush strokes what was happening, that we'd regretfully have to withdraw the fitness to practice letter. And the end of that story was that the storm for this person passed. We re-looked at the fitness to practice, and then we reissued it, and they went back to their agency. They had a little interview, and then they went on to continue the studies, and they went on to pass. It is part of the ethical underpin of our profession, and I, for one, am glad it exists.
As am I, Rory.
Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video valuable. For more free resources, have a look at our YouTube channel or visit counsellingtutor.com